So check this out for a medium format camera. It's so compact, and check this out. Look at that. How cool is that? A compact little travel medium format film camera. And the shutter's so quiet, you can barely hear it. This is an awesome little camera. It's super compact. If you're looking for a travel-friendly, medium format 6x6 film camera, then this is the video for you. In today's video we're going to be unboxing this camera system with the original boxes, and I'm going to be showing you the body itself, the 50mm lens, the 75mm lens, and we're also going to be taking a look at the 150mm lens. Okay, so these are the Mamiya 6 boxes that we're going to be unboxing today, and I have the box for the Mamiya 6MF camera body. I have the box for the 50mm f4, and I have the box for the 75mm f3.5. So we'll start off with the body. Just move these out of the way. So here we have, on the top is the Mamiya 6MF instruction manual, and as you can see, for me it's absolutely useless because it's all in Japanese. Nevertheless, the pictures do tell a bit of a story on how to use the camera, and I've used a Mamiya 7 before, so I'm pretty familiar with this system anyway. You can actually download on the internet an English version of this, which is what I did, and I'll leave a link in the description section down below to where you can download that from. So here we have the box, and in here we have a Mamiya strap. It's the original strap, I believe. I won't be using that, although it was nice to have. And here on the top I have that is the PC sync cover, I think. Here we have the camera. In its original packaging. And there we go, you can see from the top. Here we have the Mamiya 6MF. And that cap that is here, in this little plastic bag, goes right there for the PC sync and the flash. So that's it for the box. We'll just move that out of the way. And there we have the camera. So what's unique about this camera is that it has an extension bellows. So you press this button here on the top, it's right there, and then this extends out, which is quite a neat little feature because it really compacts the system down. So you can actually attach a lens on there and then just collapse that, which I'll show you shortly. It just collapses into the body. And then here is the body cap. What was quite interesting about this, which the Mamiya 7 didn't have, is that in here, if you can hear that, there are a number of little batteries that you can use to replace the batteries in the camera when they die. And there we have the release button for the lens and the cap, which is nice and easy. And then on the side here, we have the door opener. This opens the back door, and maybe you can see inside the camera. So you can shoot 120 and 220 as well, 120 and 220 films. And then also with this camera, with a panoramic adapter that sits across here, you can shoot 35mm film as a panoramic format. And just like the Mamiya 7 and Mamiya 7.2, this has a dark slide curtain. So you press the button there and it opens up the curtain. And then on the bottom there it just has a little thing that you turn and that closes it again. Here we have the shutter dial, and it runs from bulb up to 4 second to 2 second to 1 second to half, and then all the way on up to 500th of a second. And I believe for all the white times you can do flash sync with a shutter, because the shutters are in the lenses. It's a leaf shutter system. So basically you get flash sync from 1 second all the way up to 500th of a second, which is a unique feature for leaf shutter lenses. So here we have the winder. These are renowned on these cameras for breaking, so I will be using this with the utmost care. And here we have the on-off button and the shutter release. So when it's on red, it's off, and then when you switch it onto the white, it's on. It has a exposure compensation. You just press the button here. There's a little button, and there's a little dial here. So you can adjust exposure compensation. So the ISO is set by lifting up the outer part of the shutter dial, and you just rotate it and set it to what you want it to be. It's fairly straightforward. Just make sure it's locked into place. So to move it into automatic exposure and automatic exposure lock, you basically press down the button in the middle, and then you can turn it, and then you can flick between those two settings. But to get out of those settings, you have to press the button down again and then move out. So I just wanted to interrupt the video for a second just to say thank you for tuning in. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please hit the thumbs up button. That would be greatly appreciated. I've also set myself a personal goal for 2021 in terms of subscription numbers. I want to hit 5,000 subscribers for this year, so please help me out, hit the subscribe button, and that'll be awesome. If you think the Mamiya 6 might not be for you, then please check out my other video of the Hasselblad 503 CW, which is a medium format 6x6 film camera, and I will leave a link down below, and there'll also be a link that will come up here to watch that video. Please check that out because it's an awesome camera as well. So automatic exposure is pretty simple. It's a aperture priority setup. You basically set your aperture on the lens, and then you press the button halfway and it takes an exposure reading, and then you press it fully and it fires off. So automatic exposure lock is slightly different. It works in a very similar way, but what this allows you to do is take a meter reading from somewhere else in the frame and then recompose. So say for example, you're shooting a snow scene and you want to make sure that the snow is exposed correctly. So you would say, for example, you would put +1 on the exposure compensation, or +2 maybe. You would take a meter reading by half pressing the shutter on the snow, and then as you hold it and you move it back up to where you want your frame to be, it remembers the exposure reading, and as long as your finger's still half pressed and you fully press it, it will fire off the shutter at the exposure setting that you want. So that's a brief overview of the body. The only other thing to mention is you get camera straps on the side there and also one there, so you can either have it this way or this way. And it has a remote release socket there, and then there's a little button here that you can use to release the shutter mechanism when it locks up. If it locks up because of battery reasons or if there's a fault in the camera, with a pencil you can press that button and it releases the shutter so you can advance the film lever. I haven't had to use that yet, and I don't plan on using it either. So that's where the battery goes, in the bottom there. It takes those little cellular batteries. I could probably show you a battery. Let me just take this out. It just takes these little batteries, these little ones. A76 batteries. It takes 2 of those, and you can hold them in there, which is neat. place to put your film strip so you know what film's in it. It's got a 10-second timer there, so you just switch that on and then press the button. So that's where you compose your image through the diopter. You can get different diopters depending on how your eyes work. And when you look through the viewfinder, it tells you the exposure readings in seconds and minutes. So that's a brief overview of the camera body itself. And it's a rangefinder system. That's why you've got these different glasses on the front here. And that's where the meter takes a reading from in the viewfinder. And it's a center weighted meter, unlike the Mamiya 7, which is a spot meter. So that's the body, done and dusted. So now we'll move on to the 50mm. This is my favourite lens, it's the one I use the most. It's the equivalent of 28mm in 35mm format. And there it is, still in its original packaging, and in here we have a lens hood, which I don't use. And here is the lens itself. So we've got from f4 all the way up to f22, and the closest we can focus is just under a metre all the way up to infinity. That's what the back of the lens looked like. And there's your connection points for the lens on the body. You need to make sure that they're clean all the time. If you have any issues with your lenses, just give them a wipe, and also the connectors in the body, just give them a wipe with a cotton bud. And there's the front of the lens in beautiful condition. So that's the 50mm. And then here we have the 75mm, which is equivalent of 80mm in 35mm format, and it is an f3.5. We open it up and we have the original price tag, which is 75,000 yen dollars, which I believe is just over 700 US dollars in today's money. So they were not cheap lenses back in the day, back in the 90s when these were being manufactured. And then we have the lens. Again, we have a lens hood. I don't use that, so it stays in there. And then here we have the lens. It's a lot shorter than the 50mm lens, it's very compact. And we've got an f-stop from f3.5 all the way up to f22. And the closest we can focus is a metre all the way into infinity. That's what the back of the lens looks like, slightly less protruding than the 50mm lens. There's your contacts again. And that's what the front of the lens looks like. Beautiful looking lenses. So I just want to show you quickly how the lens attaches. So we pull that out, take the lens cap off, set that down, take the rear cap off, and then we have somewhere a white mark. So we take that white mark and we line it up with that white mark there. And just when we do this, we just be careful, because just here on the inside is the rangefinder coupler. And what we don't want to do is damage that or move it in any way, because then the rangefinder will go out of calibration. So just take your bit of care, just line them up. And then there we go. Just make sure it's all the way in, and then just rotate it. And that's how that works. And when you put the lens on the body, the frame lines in the viewfinder adjust the lens for every lens. So there's a 50mm, the 75mm, and the 150mm lens, and you get view lines, frame lines in the viewfinder for all of those three lenses. So that's what it looks like on the body. So what you can do is, if you are travelling, or you're short on space, or you just want to save space, you can just press this button here, and then that just retracts into the body, and it does that with all the lenses. It just makes it more compact, so which is a nice little feature. So I do just want to show you quickly, this is the 150mm lens, which I believe is the equivalent of 80mm, 35mm format. and it goes from f4.5 to f32, and the closest we can focus on this is just under 1.8 meters all the way to infinity there. That's what the back of the lens looks like, same as all the other ones. You've got your contacts and your rangefinder coupler, and then this is the front of the lens. Slightly bigger than the other lenses. That's the 50mm. Let's put them down. So that's the 50mm, and that is the 75mm. So I'll just show you quickly what this 50mm looks like on the body. So that's what it looks like on the body. And when you collapse it down, it looks like that. I'll just show you what the 150mm looks like. That's what it looks like. It's definitely a lot bigger. And you can collapse that down to that point there, which is about the same as the 50mm fully extended, roughly. So I hope you enjoyed that unboxing video. I was lucky to grab that camera system, and I bought it locally here in New Zealand through an advertisement that came up on Marketplace on Facebook. And as soon as it came up from another photographer in Auckland, I grabbed it straight away because I was already interested in buying this camera, and I'm really glad I did because I'm really enjoying it. So what do I think about the Mamiya 6 system? Well, to be truthful, I'm really enjoying using this camera, and I think there's a number of reasons for that. The first one being it's very similar to the Mamiya 7. You know, I've used that a lot, and the other things that I really like about this camera system is how small, compact and lightweight it is. You know, I can fit this camera system, the body, 3 lenses and a small set of filters in a small ICU compartment that fits into an f-stop bag, and I think that's really good because most full-frame digital cameras won't do that. Some people say that this camera system breaks easy and it's not well supported, and I think there's some truth to that. Now, I've had my camera for about 6 months and I haven't had any issues with it. It works great. Some people say that the advance lever for the film breaks easily, so that's something to watch out for. If you need to get it serviced, then I know there's a place called Precision Camera Works in America. They can still service the Mamiya 6 and Mamiya 7s, and I think they still have some parts. So now I'm going to show you some photos that I've taken with this camera system, and there's a mixture of photos from colour to black and white, and they've all been taken with either the 50mm lens, the 75mm lens or the 150mm lens. So thanks for tuning in. That's it for today's video. Please stay tuned for more videos coming out in the future. I've got some videos in the pipeline, including photography trips up north to photograph sand dunes, and some local photography trips that I've done around here in Rotorua photographing geothermal activity. So stay tuned for that. Awesome videos coming out. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.